Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we'll be inviting the persons who are being refreshed just to sit, and we'll be serving you momentarily. So we can go ahead and begin with the proceedings for the day. At this time, I'm inviting everyone to please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Please be seated. Minister of Justice, the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Kennedy Davidson, Acting Assistant Chief Education Officer of the Guidance and Counseling Unit of the Ministry of Education and Youth, representing the Honorable Minister of Education, Mrs. Favour Williams, Mr. Richard Troupe, Director of Safety and Security from the Ministry of Education, representing the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education and Youth, Dr. Kassan Troupe, Principal Director of the Social Justice Division within the Ministry of Justice, Ms. Jamie Ann Chevans, other specially invited guests, dignitaries, good morning and welcome. I am Jonah Lee Robertson, Director for the Restorative Justice Branch under the Social Justice Division within the Ministry of Justice. It is my esteemed privilege to be your moderator for today's event. This ceremony is the culmination of over 200 training sessions attended by students and teachers from over 150 schools across the island. These individuals have dedicated themselves to achieve the mandate of the ministry to restore peace and harmony through restorative justice. More specifically, restorative practices, which we refer to as RP. With the increased spate of violence within our schools, there is a demand for skills and resources to assist the Jamaican public to resolve their conflicts. It is for this reason that the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education and Youth have partnered to deliver the trainings, two-day practices training across schools within the island. This partnership has resulted in the signing of 2 memorandums of understanding. The most recent signing took place on the 5th of February during the celebration of the National Restorative Justice Week of activities, which spanned from February 4th throughout the 11th. RP trainings equip staff, students, and parents with conflict resolution skills. Using a set of principles working from a preventative perspective, which studies how to repair and build trustful and respectful relationships, not just among students, but also staff and parents. I am pleased to inform you that since 2022, over 12,000 participants have been successfully trained in restorative practices training. Some of these individuals will be certified today. At this time, I am inviting Mr. Raymond Anderson, Restorative Justice Field Officer at the Tivoli Restorative Justice Center, to bring us prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Can we please stand and bow our heads in reverence to God for prayer? Thank you. Father, it's in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, that we come this morning, and we are thankful for life. We are thankful that we have been given this opportunity to be partakers of this day. And as we come, dear Lord, in this ceremony to honor our students and our teachers who have been trained in restorative practices, we give you all the glory, God, because we believe that this is the tool that will bring change to our nation, to our students, to our families, to our nation. And Father, we pray that you will continue to guide us and keep us. The ministry of justice, our minister, as he continues to do this great work that the Lord has laid in his heart, and for the ministry. Father, we pray that you would guide our proceedings today by the power of your Holy Spirit, that we will have a good, productive day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. At this time, I now invite our principal of the Campion College, Mr. Laver Henry, to bring us welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All protocol have already been observed. I will just say good morning again. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to our school, Campion College. We are thrilled to celebrate with you the certification of the Restorative Practices training participants. And I am particularly happy to host the event this afternoon because of how much it aligns with the mission of Campion College. One of the lines in our mission statement is that we are about building the kingdom of God, a place where social justice is evident. And that's what we are about. That's a key feature of what we do here at Campion and how we form our students. So we are particularly happy to host. Let me extend a special welcome to the Honorable Minister, Mr. Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, who is here with us this afternoon. Also, just want to acknowledge Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Ms. Jonah Lee Robertson, Director of Restorative Justice Branch, Mrs. Shavans, Principal Director of Social Justice. Special welcome to Mr. Richard Troupe, who is our keynote speaker today, Director of Safety and Security in the Ministry of Education. He's also a friend of Campion, so we're always happy to have him here with us. I also want to recognize and welcome Mrs. Davidson, who is representing the Minister of Education, and my immediate boss. We have Ms. Dasmin Kennedy from Region 1 that is here with us. So welcome to Campion. I also want to welcome all my colleagues that are here, laborers together in the vineyard of education, and all the students from the various educational institutions who are here. And my heartiest congratulations to all the certification recipients who are here with us this afternoon. So, again, I hope that your time here with us at Campion will be one that is well spent. The work that you do is very important in changing the lives of our young people, and not just the work that happens in our schools, but all of that work will branch out into our communities to make our society and the world a much better place. So thank you again, and welcome to Campion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Principal Henry. At this time, I am inviting our Principal Director of the Social Justice Division within the Ministry of Justice, Miss Jamie Ann Chavans, to bring us official welcome from the Ministry of Justice.
Minister of Justice, the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favor Williams, who is being represented by Mrs. Davidson, Assistant Chief Education Officer, Guidance and Counseling, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane, Director of the Restorative Justice Branch, Ministry of Justice, Jonah Lee Robertson, Director of Safety and Security, Ministry of Education and Youth, Mr. Richard Troupe, Principal, Campion College, Lavera Henry, Coordinator and Advisor to Student Leaders, Norma Manley High, James Christian, Restorative Justice Officers, School Representatives, members of the media, those joining us online via the Ministry's YouTube channel, Ministry of Justice Jamaica, good morning. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the Restorative Practices Certification Ceremony 2024, an initiative of the Restorative Branch of the Ministry of Justice. Today's event not only highlights the impact of the Restorative Practices Training Program, but is a celebration and true acknowledgement of the commitment demonstrated by each participant to a cause that the ministry is championing. The willingness of each trainee to engage in this transformative process reflects a shared vision of promoting justice through peace and harmony, curbing maladaptive behaviors, managing conflict, and helping to make justice accessible to all Jamaicans. From 2022 to date, we have trained over 12,000 participants, 8,000 of which will be certified today and in subsequent certification sessions such as this. Undoubtedly, there is a high demand for skills and resources to assist the Jamaican public to resolve their conflicts, and the Ministry of Justice is actively engaging citizens to ensure a corrective balance to the justice system and the possible prevention of a perpetuation of violence. We are building a Jamaica where justice heals. Once again, welcome to this special event, and we continue to uphold the principles of restorative practices and work towards a more harmonious society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chavans. Let us please make welcome our Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane, who will bring us the overview of restorative practices trainings in schools.
Good morning, everyone. I am going to adopt the protocols that have been established, and just, of course, to acknowledge our Minister, Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, and special welcome as well to Mrs. Kennedy Davidson, Acting Chief Executive Officer, Chief Education Officer in the Guidance and Counseling Unit, representing Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Education and Youth, and ever-present Mr. Troupe from the Ministry of Education. He's the Director of Safety and Security, representing Miss Dr. Kassan Troupe. Don't know if they're related. And he will also be presenting the key address to us today. And of course, boys and girls, and schools, this event would not have been possible without your participation and presence here today. Our country, like many others, continue to grapple with the maladies of violence and social injustice, which continue to disrupt the fabric of our society. The panacea, in the words of our Governor General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen, is fixing what is wrong with Jamaica with what is right with Jamaica, creating innovative solutions grounded in reconciliation, peace, and harmony. The Restorative Practices Programme, through the Restorative Justice Branch in the Ministry of Justice, offers a transformative approach to addressing harm and fostering healing in our communities. By using a set of principles working from a preventative perspective on how to repair and build trust and respectful relationships among participants, the two-day Restorative Practices training workshops empower individuals to take ownership of their actions and remain a viable move to ensuring conflict resolution. For years, Restorative Practices training was delivered to just school administrators, namely guidance counselors, deans of disciplines, and senior teachers. However, with the increased spate of violence within our schools, a stronger partnership with the Ministry of Education and Youth had to be created to engage young minds, curb maladaptive behaviors, and provide them with the tools to resolve conflicts. To formalize this partnership, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the ministries, first on May 3, 2022, to facilitate the delivery of restorative justice practices training in schools across the island, engaging not only school administrators, but also students and parents. From 2022 to current date, over 12,000 participants have benefited from these trainings. With the experienced success, a second MOU to continue the delivery of restorative practices training was signed on February 5 of this year. This will take effect in the new financial year starting April and will continue until 2026. The objective of the MOU is to minimize conflict in schools, raise awareness about restorative approaches, and support the development of trusting and sustainable relationships between school administrators, students, and parents. Additionally, it seeks to establish points of entry into the Restorative Justice Programme for relevant matters arising in the school's environs. Over the course of the two-day workshops, restorative justice professionals deliver training and corresponding materials to participants involved in that workshop. At the end of the training, the participants are certified. Today's event marks a significant milestone as we continue to invest in the restorative practices training, certifying thousands of individuals who have bought into the ministry's aspiration of creating and maintaining a peaceful and harmonious society. Continued use of restorative practices approaches assist not only with resolving conflicts as they occur, but serves to boost participants' morale, develop a shared understanding between individuals, and cultivate a culture of positivity and team spirit. I am confident that by working together, we can build a Jamaica where justice, compassion, and respect are the cornerstones of our society. Ladies and gentlemen, let us use every opportunity to create a legacy of healing and reconciliation for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, P.S. McFarlane. We look forward to a greater collaboration that will strengthen our efforts in ensuring more persons are trained in restorative practices. At this time, I am going to be pausing for us to acknowledge. Do we know what special day we're celebrating today? I didn't hear you at all. I hear a person saying my day, and then I hear International Women's Day. Yes? Are you certain that today, the 8th day of March, 2024, is being celebrated as International Women's Day? Say it like you mean it. All right, so with that said, I would like to take the opportunity as one woman to all the amazing women who are gathered here, persons who are joining in via the live streaming, the ministry's YouTube channel or social media platform. I am saying to you, Happy International Women's Day. I want you to give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. And if there are males who are close by, I want you to give a little pat, or young men to the females who are close by you. We want to celebrate our women, yes? Because they are the movers and the shakers of the society. We exist because of women. Boy, the women in the audience don't sound convinced at all. The strength of a woman. And are we familiar with the theme that is being used to celebrate International Women's Day today? We're not familiar with the theme? All right, so the theme is invest in women, accelerate progress. Let me repeat it. Invest in women, accelerate progress. Now, as we in the country would say, this is not no pia theme. This is big. And I hope that as we, big deal somebody said, as we progress throughout today's event, and as we go through not just the rest of the course of the day, but also the rest of the week, we will pause for a minute to recognize the importance, the value of investing in women, because truly indeed, we are accelerators of progress. And our part as the Ministry of Justice, providing restorative practices training, is a part of that investment. It is, because we are equipping young women, girls, parents, mothers, we're equipping them with the proper skills to resolve conflicts and disputes. We have seen the data from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. A lot of interpersonal conflicts are the cause of crime. All right? So happy International Women's Day. We're going to continue with our program while we seek to build more partnerships in achieving peace and harmony for all Jamaicans. The magnitude of the impact is best understood when those involved tell their stories. Let us therefore give our current partners an opportunity to share how the program has benefited them. Let us now make welcome the Dean of Discipline at the Jonathan Grant High School, Mr. Davian Garvey to share with us his testimonial. All right, so I'm being guided. He's still a few minutes out. I'm going to invite Mrs. Tabitha James Christian, coordinator and advisor to the student leaders at the Norman Manley High School. Please make her welcome.
Ministry officials, colleagues, specially invited guests, students, pleasant morning. Indeed, it's a privilege for me to be sharing my experiences with the implementation of restorative justice within the institution in which I worked. Now, just want to point out that it has had a great effect on my students and the school community at large. The support given to student leaders has also enabled them to resolve conflicts among their peers. Now, the introduction of restorative justice has been a game changer within the institution. Instead of focusing on solely punitive measures, we are now prioritizing understanding, empathy, and building meaningful relationships among students, staff, and the wider school community. One of the most powerful aspects is the way conflicts are addressed. Therefore, rather than simply assigning consequences as a school, we bring affected parties together in a circle to engage in open dialogue. You know, I can vividly remember a specific instance where 2 grade 7 students got into an argument. And can I share, it was the second day of our workshop. Now, I stepped out of the AV room to ask the VP a question. And while I was there, these 2 students came over along with another teacher. I turned to the vice principal and I did ask if I could take these students with me back to the AV room. And she allowed me to take them there. Now, they were placed in a circle, and when we listened to what causes the conflict, the young man simple said he liked the young girl, but he never knew how to share with this child that I like you. So what he did, he would constantly nag her. Now, it was clear that this procedure, now it promoted empathy and communication shared. They were able to resolve the conflict, and they were advised on how to communicate with each other. Now, let me also point out that restorative justice practice has proven effective in preventing recurring issues, because I personally went back to the classroom and I check up on those 2 students, and I tell you, they're having a great relationship. Now, I mean, school relationship. They're kind to each other, and they share and they're socializing as how we are expecting students to behave. Now, as students take an active role in their own development, I have seen a good change in the dynamics of the classroom. Now, they are picking up important life lessons, including how to resolve conflicts, communicate well, and value community. A more positive school culture has been facilitated by the notable increase in students' sense of trust and connection with each other. Finally, I would like to say that my experiences with restorative justice has persuaded me that this approach is not only an improvement over traditional discipline, but also an essential development in our educational practices. It has the power to shape students into responsible, caring individuals who can and will make valuable contribution to both their local community and society at large. I am hopeful that more educators will embrace restorative justice as a powerful tool for fostering a culture of understanding, empathy, and growth within our schools. Now, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to share in this forum, and we will seek to broaden the practicing among our students, leaders, and students in general, as well as the staff who has completed training in the restorative justice practices. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Christian. At this time, we'll invite Mr. Garvey, Dean of the Jonathan Grant High School.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. I just want to thank everyone for having me here. Now, my colleagues would have already exhausted most of what I wanted to say. Now, when the restorative justice team would have approached my school, Jonathan Grant High School, we would have already had several elements established in place to embrace the restorative practices. Now, most of our students would have been equipped. If you should come on our campus, you would see several signs displaying restorative practices. And another term that we coined for restorative practices is positive discipline. Now, the role that I am thrust in as a dean of discipline has taken on several elements. It has moved our shift away from the conventional walking around with a belt or try to sanction students by some sort of corporal punishment. We have moved away from that, and if you want to borrow the terminology from the US, as again, positive discipline, we have moved away from that. Now, restorative justice, since we have been trained and sensitized in our school, we have used it on a daily basis. Up to this morning, I would have had a case where I would have used restorative practice to mitigate what would have otherwise resulted in a fight. Now, most of our students, are from what you consider to be marginalized community. And Jonathan Grant High School, which is in what you call the Garcia area, we have used restorative justice to re-socialize students, and most of them coming from broken homes. Restorative justice came about the right time. I promise you I won't be long because my colleague would have already exhausted most of what I wanted to say. But just to say this, that it came at an appropriate time, especially when we have been having a moral decadence in our society. And I want to just encourage everyone to be a part of it. Now, Restorative justice is not about the forum of teachers and students. It's about other stakeholders. Parents have to embrace restorative practices, and I would encourage everyone to be a part of it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garvey. At this time, I am inviting Mrs. Kennedy Davidson to bring us the remarks on behalf of the Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favour Williams.
I do so adopt the protocols already established, but deem it a pleasure to greet our Honorable Minister Chuck, our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Grayson Stewart, Mr. Richard Troupe, our Keynote Speaker, Director, Safety and Security in Schools Unit, all other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media, Mrs. Desmond Kennedy, our Regional Director for, of course, this region, Region 1, and other officers present. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a good thing to be alive and be involved in initiatives and activities as this one. Many of you traveled from far this morning, and we're very happy that you got here safely. You seem bright from where I'm standing, and you're looking as if you're sane. As the Ministry of Education and Youth shares trend across the nation, we are a part of that. We are trending. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to bring greetings on behalf of the Ministry of Education and Youth in general and the Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favour Williams, who unfortunately could not be with us today, as we share in this Restorative Practices certification ceremony. Today's presentation of certificates to participants in the Restorative Practices Training and Support Services Program in public schools is an important step in maintaining a continuing focus on the imperative of working towards a more peaceful and harmonious society. Frequent interpersonal, intra-family, and internal community conflicts that sometimes escalate into violent confrontation and violence among youth, crimes committed by juveniles, antisocial behavior in schools, and a decline in the appreciation of acceptable values have eroded a sense of community, leading to more sharp-tempered responses to perceived slights. We see this every day. And for those of us who may not come into direct contact, the media houses ensure we are aware, we are current, and so we must take a committed decision to make a difference. It is within this context that the Ministry of Education and Youth, through its Safety and Security in Schools Unit, and the Ministry of Justice, through its Social Justice Division, have been collaborating to reduce the incidence of violent confrontation among school-age children. Earlier this year, our two ministries signed a memorandum of understanding, which is an extension of a program of training to address the concerns mentioned. I am happy to note that over 12,000 beneficiaries across 200 schools throughout the island have participated in approximately 200 restorative practices training workshops held between March and December. Our two ministries have a common interest in preventing and reducing conflict in educational institutions, translating to homes and communities at large. The MOU signifies expansion of the parties in this area of training and development efforts to promote best practices in conflict resolution and enhancing community cohesion. You heard from our two schools, and so when we speak to best practices, this is what we are talking about. Our schools being able to say in front, in the public space, this is what has been transpiring as we engage our students and staff in these practices. Beyond training and certification, however, must be the commitment to the practical implementation of the lessons learned. We know that at the height of a crisis or in the heat of the moment, we can easily forget what we have been taught. And so it behoves us to keep these practices at the forefront of our minds so that we have an almost instinctive response to situations as they arise. We are aware of reports on school-based violence. It presents an undesirable picture of maladaptive and disruptive behavior. This is of particular concern to the Ministry of Education and Youth. The commendable efforts to implement a restorative justice approach to resolving disputes gives victims the support and the opportunity to address both the total impact of violence and sometimes criminal actions, as well as giving offenders the opportunity to take responsibility for their actions. Our ministries, therefore, will continue the work to, 1, build capacity of restorative practices across Jamaica with a focus on school administrators, children, and parents. 2, we will support and promote the development of trusting relationships between schools, students, and parents. Ladies and gentlemen, we will support an atmosphere of open, honest, and genuine dialogue among all stakeholders. This conversation will facilitate development of key stakeholders in the education sector in providing community-building strategies and viable alternatives to detentions, suspensions, and exclusions. To support continuity of restorative practices from school to home, we're committed to increasing the awareness of restorative justice practices and programs. We hope and trust that as we continue with these programs, more of our students will embrace the practices articulated through conflict resolution. When this is done the way our children are being exposed to through restorative practices, it will result in a decrease in tension. Congratulations to all the participants and special thanks to the teams from the Ministry of Education and Youth and the Ministry of Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, every blessing. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Davidson. The success of the Restorative Justice Programme and the Restorative Practices trainings would not be possible without the advocates and ambassadors who continue to champion the cause and promote the programs. One of the biggest advocates is the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Delroy Chuck. I now invite him to share how restorative practices training will be improved in the coming years.
Thank you very much, Jonah Lee, our moderator this morning. First, let me begin by saying good morning to everyone. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, Ms. Grayson Stewart McFarlane, Mrs. Kennedy Davidson, representing my colleague, Minister Favour Williams, Mr. Richard Troupe, Ms. Jamie Shivans, the headmaster, Mr. Henry, I think he has departed, and members from the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education, all the teachers, students from across several schools, good morning again. Let me congratulate all of you who have participated in this restorative justice sensitization, and also for you to get a better understanding of what RJ, as we refer to it, or Restorative Justice Practices. It is indeed a very powerful tool to resolve conflicts, to avoid further escalation of squabbles, disputes, most of which end up in violent confrontation. Jamaica suffers from the inability of our people to engage in meaningful and sustainable relationship. Too often, we find that the simplest of misunderstanding creates squabbles, escalate conflicts, and result in violent conflicts. And so, Jamaica, over the last 30 or so years, is averaging way in excess of 1,000 murders. Last year alone, we had over 1,300. We have to do something to prevent the slaughter of our people right across Jamaica. And it is not that you have gunmen just going about shooting people. The killings are occurring inside the homes, inside the neighborhoods, between persons who know one another. Up to 80% of all the killings, the victim is well known to the offenders. It is just absolutely outrageous that you have sons killing mothers, brothers killing sisters, family in dispute and destroying one another, people fighting over deadlift, none of which any one of them should get, but fighting over it. Gangs believe that they should control territory and violating the space of others. Let me say, Jamaica, we have to fight back. But we don't fight back with violence. We don't fight back with abuses. We must talk it out. And that is what restorative justice is all about. Parties must learn to get together in a circle with others and examine what is the cause of the disagreement. Thanks to Mrs. Christian, she explained, and Mr. Garvey, how they have been using restorative justice at Jonathan High School and Norman Manley. The truth of the matter, it is not only a powerful tool within the schools, within the society, and instead of punishing, instead of revenge, we use RJ justice that heals. And that is why the Ministry of Justice is determined to get RJ right across every nook and cranny of Jamaica, in the business places, in the schools, in the churches, but more so in the homes. There are more problems in the homes than you can imagine. Let's face it, our family should be the closest knit unit within our society. But the evidence is showing that they are now in disarray. It's almost as if most families in Jamaica know some suicide bomber is there, and it is wrong. And that is why we're hoping at the Ministry of Justice to get more trained RJ advocates to go out and speak about conflict resolution. How can spouses, brothers and sisters, generally the family, resolve your problem without having to hire a contract killer? You see that's what's happening now. When they can't get along, they find money to hire a contract killer. And life is so cheap that a few $1 million can resolve what they think is the problem. But it creates more problems than they can imagine. And those so-called persons, or those persons who want to hire the so-called contract killers, should know by now that the contract killers are persons who will expose you at the earliest opportunity, because it's all about money. They have no loyalty to your money. And as soon as they're caught, they're going to expose you. So I warn families, I warn persons who plan to hire contract killers, instead of doing that, come to the restorative justice centers and see if the matters can be resolved peacefully. Because when you engage killers to carry out your work, it is only a matter of time before you're caught, charged, apprehended, and hopefully sent to prison for life. That's not the life that you want to live. And what is important to note, every person you're in disagreement with, and there's no one of you here now who don't dislike somebody. But you must find ways and means to resolve the problem. As Mrs. Christian told you, sometimes it is out of inability to know how to engage the other person in a discussion to show that I really love you, I don't hate you. And I'm saying to all of you students, many of you have been exposed to some of the RJ practice, and to all the teachers here, I'm going to beg everyone, please get to the next level of restorative justice. You have been sensitized. You know what it is. I want many of you to be advocates of restorative justice. We are going to be utilizing those advocates of restorative justice to go across Jamaica to speak about how we can use RJ to resolve impending disputes, impending squabbles, but most importantly, impending killing. Because most persons feel that the only way to resolve the dispute is to get rid of the other side, and it is not the right way. So, all of you have benefited from some understanding of restorative justice. I beg of each of you, move on to the next level. Learn more about RJ. You may not know, it is now a university course in many universities across the world. And we are, I think, here at UWI, they plan to have a course in it on restorative justice. So I repeat, let us use it. The justice program, RJ, Justice That Heals, and let us see how we can ensure that Jamaica benefit and become a more peaceful and harmonious place. Thank you all for participating, but we hope you will continue to enjoy and to learn more of RJ. Good morning. I've been told that I must advertise that we now have a policy paper. It's a green paper that I've presented in Parliament, and we have sent right across to many institutions for persons to examine it to see how best we can improve on it. Very shortly, this green paper will become a white paper. And in the white paper, we are going to print huge numbers to circulate right across Jamaica so that people can know more about the RJ practice. And I'm begging each of you, you can get it on the website, and if you, hopefully sometime you can get a hard copy. But it will be on our website. It is on our website, which can be downloaded. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Chuck. We are proud to announce that we'll be providing every single school present today with a copy of this green paper. At this time, we would like to welcome the Campion Dance Society to grace us with entertainment. All right, let us give another round of applause to the Campion Dance Society. Thank you. It is now time for us to certify our participants in the two-day restorative practices training. At this time, I'm going to be inviting our announcers for Region 1, Mr. Jermaine Clark, Parish Restorative Justice Officer at the St. Thomas Justice Center. I am so excited for the trainees to receive their certification. Please accept my apologies. At this time, we are going to be doing the introduction of our guest speaker, which will be done by Mr. Sherrod Somerville, the Restorative Justice Field Officer of the St. Elizabeth Justice Center.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you well. It is with great pleasure I am entrusted with this responsibility of introducing to you a gentleman who is a dedicated partner with the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Richard Troupe. Mr. Richard Troupe, JP, is a distinguished graduate of the St. George's College and University of the West Indies. With over 30 years of dedicated service, he stands as a fervent advocate for child and youth development, particularly within at-risk communities. Mr. Troupe's journey began at the age of 15, deeply involved with community-based non-governmental organizations, including the Hope for Children Development Company, which he founded and led for 2 decades. His extensive involvement extends beyond grassroots effort. He has served on numerous boards, both community-based and national, such as the St. Andrew Primary School, the Early Childhood Commission, the Parenting Partners Caribbean, and the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica. Recognized for his outstanding contributions, Mr. Troupe has received prestigious awards, including the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce 2010 Individual Leadership Award and the 2010 Kiwanis Club of New Kingston Award for his exemplary service to community development. Transitioning into the public sector, Mr. Troupe took on roles at the Jose Marti Technical High School and later within the Ministry of Education, where he currently serves as the acting director of the Safety and Security in Schools Unit, as a position he assumed in February 2019. In addition to his professional commitments, Mr. Troupe plays integral roles in various national committees, including the National Commission on Violence Prevention and National Task Force Against Trafficking Persons, and the Interministerial Committee on Human Rights. Family holds a significant place in Mr. Troupe's life. He has been married to Dr. Kassan Troupe for 25 years, and they have 2 children, Jalil, age 20, and Jalia, age 16. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment when I will decrease so he can increase. May I invite us all to stand together and with a resounding, thunderous applause, make welcome to this podium Mr. Richard Paul Troupe.
So there I was thinking that God worked in mysterious ways, and he would have just skipped over my part. I would not have needed to do the keynote address this morning. Master of Ceremony, Ms. Jonah Lee Robertson, Director, Restorative Justice Branch, acting, the Ministry of Justice. The Honorable Delroy Chuck, MP and Minister of Justice, and I'm certain I'm going to see Minister Chuck on Sunday at the EU 5K. You're not doing it this time, Minister Chuck? They're sending you away. Okay, my brother. Mrs. Kennedy Ains Davidson, Assistant Chief Education Officer, Guidance and Counseling Unit, representing the Honorable Favour Williams, MP, Minister of Education and Youth. Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice. Ms. Jamie Ann Chevans, Principal Director, Acting, Social Justice Division. Ms. Dasmin Kennedy, Director, Region 1, and the Educational Officer Corps that would have been here with her this morning. Mr. Lavere Henry, Principal of Campion College. Mrs. James Christian, Coordinator Advisor to the student leaders at the Norman Manley High School. Mr. Davian Garvey, Dean of Discipline of Jonathan Grant High School. Representatives from the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education and Youth. Educators and students, you have journeyed far and wide, representing over 130 primary and high schools across this island. Other special invited guests, good morning. Now, I'll tell you something before I start my presentation. At my home, my wife and children, they will always make the case that I'm losing my hearing. And I would always challenge them. But during the course of this function, when it's a time for applause, I notice I'm not hearing them clearly. So I was kind of getting convinced now, so it looked like I'm losing the hearing for true. In the context that this beautiful ceremony is being live, persons will not be hearing too well if you're really applauding. So I want the children who are here this morning to just demonstrate to our teachers how you really clap. After 3, 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. And students, let me see if our teachers can match that. So adults in this space, can I ask you now to give a round of applause? Excellent. And so during the course of my presentation, I'm assuming there's going to be some points of reference that I'm expecting the students and adults to be clapping. Is that understood? Good morning, everyone. Now on Tuesday, I'm not like a Minister Chuck that can just talk just like that. You understand? Yes, I'll be referencing some notes. On Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, hundreds of schools across the Highland responded to the call by the Peace and Loving Society, PALS, to celebrate what? Peace Day 2024, under the theme, Let Peace Run Things. School administrators were encouraged to incorporate the shared Peace Day message, the scripture, and the theme song in their celebrations. While we acknowledge and celebrate the efforts of our schools, at one of our high schools, there was an altercation among students. An altercation that would have resulted in one student leaving the school compound without permission to a nearby community, individuals returning to the said school to create mayhem, leaving students, staff, and the general public traumatized as they try to make sense of what could have transpired. Colleagues, this could have happened in any school, in any parish. And so we understand the urgency of the moment. Colleagues, it is clear that the partnership between the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education to facilitate restorative training in our schools is so very important. We have to equip our nation's students, staff, and parents with the requisite tools and skills to better manage and resolve conflicts without resorting to violence. Remember the theme for Peace Day: let peace run things. Students, there were times in this country when an altercation among students, conflict among students, would have resulted in one party reporting the matter to his teacher, to the dean of discipline, to the guidance counselor, or to a principal in pursuit of justice. If the student felt dissatisfied with the school's response, the student would have sought the intervention of his parent or guardian. The parent or guardian would have visited the school to make a formal report with the expectation that more would have been done to ensure that the matter is addressed or resolved. There was a time in this country that if a student chooses to take the matter in his or her hands, to engage his friends or members of his family to intervene in a conflict situation that would have resulted in harm to another student or person, or would have brought disgrace to the reputation of his family name, then that student would have been in serious trouble. There was a time when that was our reality in this country. There was a time in this country when community would not have accepted such behavior by one of its members, worse, a child. The community would not shield such person or persons, but would have demanded accountability and a public apology to those who were impacted by their actions. There was a time in this country when the national conversation would not have been the perceived failure of the school in question and or the Ministry of Education to provide safety and security assets to make our schools safe, but a recognition that the level of violence in our schools is a reflection of the unacceptable level of violence in our communities and in our families. And we have a collective responsibility to address this public health crisis. We cannot take comfort in the fact that there was a time when things were done differently. When I was a child and my grandmother used to say some things, I said I wish I was around those times. When she tell me what was the price of bread and the price of chicken with little back on it, and you multiply the money you have now and how much of that your money could have bought. We can't say, though, that there was a time in a rapidly changing world where the only constant is change. It is imperative that we equip our students with the tools and mindset necessary to navigate the complexities of the modern era. Innovation, inclusivity, and adaptability are not merely buzzwords, but guiding principles underpinning our educational philosophy. As we gather here at Campion College for the staging of the second Restorative Practices certification ceremony, we are reminded of the profound impact that partnership, collaboration, and innovation have on shaping the future of our nation's youth. The partnership between the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education and Youth stands as a beacon of hope, illuminating the path towards a more just and harmonious society. Minister mentioned it. Jonah Lee Robertson mentioned it. Mrs. Kennedy Davidson, representing our Honorable Minister, mentioned it, but I need to mention this again. Remember, they mentioned earlier that in May 2022, in response to the increased incidence of school violence, the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education and Youth signed an MOU to redouble our efforts to promote and expand restorative practices training in schools. Both ministries' commitment to promoting restorative justice training is evident in the dedication to creating safe, nurturing, and conducive learning environment for all our students. What the previous speakers did not mention is that between April and December 2023, between when? April and December, which year? 2023, we are proud to report that 7,939 participants, representing 5,797 students, 1,109 educators, 1,034 parents from 256 schools across the island would have successfully completed the 2 days school-based restorative practices training program. You are the representative of this group. Well done. It's the first clap more here. Everybody should be clapping so the whole world can know that we are celebrating something that is meaningful. Now, if you should look around the room, some persons might wonder why so many participants are from primary schools. How comes? Because the videos that often make the rounds, the videos that go viral, many times when these videos go viral, and it is not of good things, it is not a video that will go viral of the Campion College Dance Society with them nice crazy move there. That don't make video. What makes video, what is of interest to our nation's children, is the brawl, is the fight. Yes? It's as if they are on big screen television. They star in movie. They make Bob Marley recent movie look like it not try. Oftentimes, these videos would have been created and creatively created without the knowledge of our schools. So the videos making the round and nobody at the school know that these videos are out there. So they wonder then if most of the issues of violence, school-based violence, is seen among our high school students. Why is it that there are so many young children inside this space? We have 180 high schools, right? And hundreds of primary schools. Minister Chuck, in many of his announcements, would say, our partnership is to reach every single school. His words now, the nook and cranny of every single community. Today, the fact that we have so many children here today is evidence of the fact that we are committed to this level of support to our nation's children. That's another clap. Very good, very good. You're learning. Truth be told, not the last two training, but the training before that and the training before that, because I think this is our 5th cycle of training, and we have the 6th one to start, supposed to be in March, but it more look like it's April now. We would have focused a lot on our high schools, and we felt now is the time to be focusing on our primary schools. So that was one reason why we have so many young children in this side of this room from the primary school. But there's another profound reason why we are focusing so much on our primary schools. And I'm going to reference some data, and some persons might say, Mr. Troupe, that data again. But it is important all the time to be referencing and to be informed by data, to inform evidence-based intervention, to determine why we are focusing at this time at the primary school. In 2022, November of 2022, many of the schools are inside this room. We had a program called the Interministerial School Support Strategy. That is an intervention that is committed to provide support to 34 primary and high schools located in the 7 declared zones of special operation. One of the activity of that particular program was to administer a survey to determine the perception of safety and security within our schools. The intention was to do this survey in the 34 schools. When our Honorable Minister in October launched the Just Meds It campaign, that year-long campaign to give targeted attention to violence in schools, we made representation to our ministry to say, can we expand the scope of this program, not just in the 34 schools, but in as many public schools as possible. Colleagues, 331 primary and high schools across all of the 14 parishes participated in this survey. Remember, it coming to why we are focusing on the primary school. Do not lose sight of that. Educators who are here at the primary level. 331 primary and high schools across all the 14 parishes, right? Some more information again. 11,000 I want to give you the exact number. I'm looking for the exact number. Here it is. 11,981 persons participated in the survey. 9,750 students at the primary and secondary level. 188 principals, 806 teachers, 175 admin staff, 106 ancillary staff, 782 parents participated in the survey. I am referencing the survey today because of an interview I did yesterday on the radio in response to the situation in that particular high school that I earlier mentioned. Yes? Because there is a tendency in this country when there is an issue, all of a sudden everything is bad about our education system. We're not doing nothing. We are in crisis. And for us as stakeholders in our education system that will seek to run with that narrative, understand the disservice you are doing to your own effort at the local level. So there was this issue. I'll get another clap again. Thank you as it is. Is the Mexico wave now? There is a tendency that when there is a particular matter that is a cause for concern for real, all of a sudden our entire system is broken. We have not demonstrated as a ministry, we have not demonstrated as school administrators, teachers, parents, student leaders, that we are on top of this problem. I want to suggest to you, my colleagues, that we have to be careful of that narrative that we are embracing because it is so far from the truth. What did the survey findings reflected? 55% of the 331 schools, the students felt moderately safe and secure. The students felt safer at school than in their homes and in their communities. The children felt safer on campus than off campus. The greatest threat to the safety and security of our nation's children is when they are traversing to and from school. So how comes it is only school that is getting all the flax when it comes on to violence in schools? Colleagues, there is a correlation. There is a connection. The violence we are seeing in our communities. Our Honorable Minister Chuck referenced the violence we are seeing among our family members. Is a reflection of the violence we are seeing in our schools. So we have to understand that connection. If 55% of our students are suggesting that they feel safe and secure at school, moderately safe and secure. And I want to clarify what that moderately safe and secure means, so that you can understand where you're going in terms of strengths. Moderately safe and secure means that the safety and security assets and values are minimally present within the school and its vicinity, but more importantly, hear this part. Antisocial and criminal activities are present, but are kept under control. Colleagues, you would have been doing a fantastic job in creating a safe and secure environment for your nation's children. So when you have the public narrative that will challenge, not just the Ministry of Education, understand that, because they are also challenging every single school, as if we are not doing enough. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. But do not give the impression that we are not doing anything. So I want you, colleagues, to start to understand and to utilize a particular narrative that we have been working hard. We have been putting systems in place to control the antisocial behavior, and truth be told, the criminal behavior too. So look here, when we talk about antisocial and some criminal behavior, we're talking about the bullying that exists in school. We have been keeping that under control. If we're serious about the safety and security of our nation's children, we have to be addressing the issue of bullying in school. We have to treat with issues of extortion in school because it is real. We have to address the loitering. Children show up many times, them show up later, and when them come to school, them still not going in classes, as if we engage them as security personnel, free service. They have to go to school. They have to go to classes. We have to treat with the sexual harassment and the sexual violence in our schools. I am saying, colleagues, though, that we would have been making effort. So why are we not at a higher percentage despite our effort? You see, the first thing you say is parents, and there is a place for that. But that is not my narrative this morning. 40% of the students that participated in the survey would have expressed the concern that bullying and cyberbullying is a major concern that has compromised their perception of the feeling safe and secure, irrespective of the school. The survey has pointed to the fact that bullying is highest in all boys school, then co-ed school, and then all girls school. All girls school people nobody smile. The facts still remain across immaculate nobody smile, because across all of our system though, the issue of bullying is a major cause for concern. Bullying facilitates extortion, you know that? Because children pay as smalls, and sometimes eat not so small, because they want to be protected. Look here, as educators, we are the protectors of our nation's children. So the greatest threat for the safety and security for our nation's children is the student themselves. Primary schools now, this is why you are so important in this discourse. Bullying is higher at the primary school level than high school. You understand why the focus for restorative practices is important at the primary level. Because if our children are exposed to bullying at the primary level, and we are not treating with issues of bullying at the primary level, then they transition into high schools, not only as victims of bullying, but bully themselves. That is why our Restorative Practices program that we're doing in partnership with the Ministry of Justice is so very important to our public schools and to our nation's children. That is why we can celebrate with you today. And you know, truth be told, if we were to say what is the evidence that our program is working, our partnership is working, it is not that we were able to secure Campion College to host us today. It is not that because Ministry of Justice is going to be feeding us well later today. It is not that because our Honorable Minister, who is a champion, and you hear me say our Honorable Minister like I'm in the Ministry of Justice, but he is our nation's Minister of Justice. So our Minister of Justice has been such a powerful advocate for restorative justice. Yeah, man, give him a round of applause. Minister Chuck need no script like me. And when he speaks well. And everything is connected. But not only are we doing well with the training, but our Honorable Minister, as would have been mentioned earlier before, we have signed a new MOU on Monday the 5th of February. Now this MOU is going to again give recognition to the importance of the continuity of restorative practices in our school. But the services has been expanded. And Minister Chuck, if he did not hear me mention it, Mr. Troupe, you thought nice, but there are some things you miss. You should have said. The new MOU is going to require the Ministry of Education to prepare and disseminate a bulletin in very short order. We wanted to make sure we talk to you about it before the bulletin come to you. So the bulletin will soon come. But what the bulletin will seek to share with our school, to celebrate with our school, is the fact that the program has been expanded. This partnership has been expanded. We're not only doing the 2 days training in our schools. And by the way, let me not take some things for granted. My team at the Safety and Security in Schools unit, we know that you really love this program. You know how we know that? There's a particular requirement for your engagement. We would have asked our school, if it is possible, you know, we keep our fingers crossed because you have to make it possible. We would have asked you to be the ones responsible to prepare the refreshment for the students and the participants and the trainers. 99.999% of the schools that have been engaged have assumed that responsibility without an apology. Evidence that you have embraced this program, you showing up today, is for us evidence that the program has been doing well. It's not that you want to leave where you're coming from to come to the Campion College. And by the way, I can tell you, some of you teachers, some of your female students and you are going to be in problem when you go back to your respective school. Because I see some of them looking at the Campion girls and say, then hold down there. Then how come for them ears at all? Look at the length of their braids. In many schools, they can't even put an inch. But you know there's going to be that conversation, right? But the program has been expanded to include one, and this is up to our schools now. We're not imposing this, but we're saying to our schools, listen to this one, that students with behavioral issues, students who might have been suspended from school, that you have the opportunity to engage your Restorative Justice Center within the geographical space, the jurisdiction of your school, so that the RJ Center and the capable team that is there will provide support services for those boys and girls. Give them a round of applause. At no cost to you, including providing refreshment, at no cost to you. This is the students being referred to the center for an intervention. The partnership is also providing psychotherapy and counseling services through the Victim Services branch to victims of incidents within school who have been referred to the RJ Center if such services are assessed to be required. So they will provide that service to our nation's children. I'm not going to say free of cost because I don't want you to misunderstand the thing, because somebody paying for it. The Ministry of Justice I feel nice to say this. Our honorable minister and the Ministry of Justice would have mobilized the resources to provide this level of support to our nation's children. Again, very good. Psychotherapy and counseling services to the Victim Services branch for students who have been referred by the guidance counselor, Mrs. Kennedy Ains Davidson, you hear that, as displaying maladaptive or disruptive behavior that is deemed to be or suspected to be as a result of trauma. Our boys and girls are going through a lot, colleagues. If you have gone through half of what they would have gone through, Windward Road now miss you. So we have to provide that level of support for them. This is a significant step towards ensuring that our education system will be relying less on suspensions and expulsions to treat with student infractions, but providing greater access and support services to ensure that every child is given the opportunity to learn and to grow from their mistakes. Our children must be given the opportunity to learn and to grow from their mistakes. Their mistake must never be used to define their destiny. And that is the value of the partnership. Restorative justice is not just about addressing incidents of misconduct. It is about fostering a culture of empathy, accountability, and mutual respect. By the way, the informal culture don't work with restorative justice, right? You know that. Informal culture don't work with restorative justice. And truth be told, we don't have the moral authority sometimes as adults to talk to our children to say, look here, let go of this informal culture, because too many of us adults have also embraced this informal culture mentality. But the informal culture has nothing to do. There is no bearing for restorative justice, because people have to assume responsibility, take responsibility, must be held accountable for the harm that they would have committed. As a small island state with limited resources, and I need to say that because sometimes when we look at other parts of the world, we say, how come these things not happening? We have to understand our local context. So with the limited resources, we also celebrate the resolution of a significant number of court cases through restorative justice procedure. Ministry of Justice use a restorative justice process to resolve dispute, serve as an important resource, particularly at the community level, to rebuild relationship and avoid further acts of violence from reprisal. This is achieved through community access to restorative justice centers in all 14 parishes, and trained facilitators to provide restorative conferences and healing circles, which are integral to the justice system. Colleagues, as we reflect on the progress we have made thus far, let us also reaffirm our collective commitment to championing the cause of restorative justice in Jamaica's education system. Let us continue to strive towards a future where every child has the opportunity to thrive regardless of their background or circumstances. Before I conclude, I would like to extend my congratulations to all the recipients of today's award or those persons receiving certificate. Your dedication to restorative justice practice has only enhanced the educational experience of our students, but also it will contribute significantly to the betterment of our society. Your achievements deserve recognition and serve as an inspiration for others to follow. In closing, I would also like to thank our school teachers, our school leaders, our parents, our students, the members of staff of my own unit, as small as we are, the members of staff from the Ministry of Justice, for the hard work that they do for and on behalf of our nation's children. We want to thank you all for the pivotal role you continue to play to advance in the cause of restorative justice. Your dedication and selfless service is a demonstration of the shared commitment to creating a peaceful, brighter, more equitable future for generations to come. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Troupe. The Ministry of Education and Youth continues to be a valuable partner of the Ministry of Justice and our Restorative Justice Programme. Ladies and gentlemen, it is clear from Mr. Troupe's speech presentation that not only is restorative justice timely, restorative justice and practices timely and timeless for our schools and the wider society, but also that the Ministry of Education and Youth is fully on board, from the Honorable Minister coming all the way down to the team and you, our schools, who are present. At this time, we're going to commence the certification of our certification ceremony of distributing the certificates to the trainees. We're going to be starting with the Region 1 schools. We're going to be inviting our announcers to please come for Region 1. We will have Mr. Jermaine Clark, who is the Restorative Justice Parish Officer. We're also going to be inviting our Honorable Minister to come and to distribute the certificates for the first initial schools in Region 1. We can use here. Yes, we can do here. Once the name of the school is announced, we'll invite the two representatives from the school to come and to receive the certificate. Here is the speech. Here.
Great afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We adopt all protocols that has been established. My name is Miss Peter Ann Morris, and with me is
Jermaine Clark.
And we will be doing the announcements for Region 1. A total of 64 schools
for Region 1 were successfully completed the Restorative Practices 2-day workshop. It is our esteemed pleasure to announce the names of these schools to you today. And for Region 1, we're going to be asking all the schools to make your way to the various platforms following the ushers on both sides. They will assist in directing you. The list of schools are as follows. The John Mills Primary School. Followed by Tarrant Primary School. We will ask Seaview Primary School to make your way as soon as Tarrant has completed. Seaview Primary School. Give them a round of applause. Let them feel loved up. Let them feel special, man. Today's their day. Followed by the Seaview Primary School, we have Content Gap Primary School. We'll ask the Dallas Primary School to make your way.
Schools, can you make your way to that side instead of this side? Once you hear a name, just make your way to that side.
All
to
schools, please use this area. Do not come into the middle of the certification giving. Dallas Primary, say cheese. Next up, we have the Drews Avenue Primary School, followed by Balcom Drive Primary School. We will ask the Padmore Primary School and the Shatola Mel Nathan High School. Primary School, my apologies.
Next in line, we have the Jonestown Primary School. Give them a clap, man. Right. So as soon as you hear a name, just make your way to my extreme right. Stay in the line so that we can have a free flow. The what? Okay. Trenchtown Primary School. Holy Trinity High School. Followed by Swallowfield Primary and Infant School. Red Hills Primary School, followed by Mannings Hill Primary School. Dunrobin Primary School, followed by King Weston Primary School, Marvally Primary School, followed by Alpha Tree Primary School, Alpha Tree Primary, St. Martin de Porres Primary School, Thank you, Minister. I know your hand's probably tired, so I'm going at this moment. Clap the Minister of Justice for us, please. After this one. So at this current moment, I'm going to ask our Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane, to come and hand out these certificates.
We would like to ask the Mavis Bank High School, followed by Papine High School and Mount Fletcher Primary School. Make your way to the far right of the stage. Mavis Bank High School. The Papine High School, which will be followed by Mount Fletcher Primary School and the Brandon Hill Primary School. We will ask the Shortwood Practicing and Junior High School, Calvary Primary School, and Jacksonville Primary School to make your way to the stage with Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane.
North Street Primary School, Norman Gardens Primary School, Bowden Hill Primary School, Bull Bay Primary School, Arbor View Primary School. All these schools, just make your way to my extreme right so we can have a free flow. So we have North Street Primary, Norman Gardens Primary, Bowden Hill Primary, Excess Hall Primary, Bull Bay Primary, Harbor View Primary, Tivoli Gardens High School, Unity Primary, Oberlin High School, Next, we have Stony Hill Technical High School, Golden Spring Primary, please come based on the order that we mentioned those names so that we can have a free flow.
Next, we will have the Stony Hill Primary and Infant School, followed by the Excelsior Primary, Grove Primary, Almond Hill Primary, and New Day Primary School. Please make your way to Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane to receive your certificates. As we wrap up Region 1 and get ready for Region 2, we're going to be calling our last list of schools under Region 1, and they are as follow. Haile Selassie High School, Jesse Rippal Primary, St. Aloysius Primary, and Joytown Community Development Foundation. Please make your way to receive your certificates. Next, we will have the Constitutional Hill Primary School, Rock Hall Primary School, the St. Peter Claver Primary School, St. Francis Primary and Infant School, the Immaculate Conception High School, Arden High School, Kingsway High School, Parkinson High School, St. Andrew High School, and lastly, but certainly not least for Region 1, the Norman Manley High School. Thank you, Region 1.
Give Region 1 a round of applause, man. Good, good.
I will now invite the announcers for Region 2 to please come forward. We have Mr. Dowell Williams, who is the Parish Restorative Justice Officer at the Portland Justice Center, and Mrs. Tashika Braecliff-Dixon, who is the Restorative Justice Field Officer at the St. Mary Justice Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. We want to thank Mrs. Stewart, Grace and Stuart McFarlane for doing the presentations. So while we're completing Region 1, we're going to ask the schools for Region 2 to get themselves ready. Please listen for your school names. Yeah, man.
tell them how much they do. I get by the way. She leaving? Alright, we use Mr. Troupe. Well, alright, we use Mr. Troupe.
Oh, the lady leave? Oh.
We use Mr. Troupe. So we use Mr. Troupe. Alright, for the announcement for the...
So call 5 schools and then go. Don't worry about that flow. Call 5 schools.
So for Region 2, 22 schools were trained in a 2 days restorative practice training, and they are as follows.
St. Margaret's Bay Primary School, Windsor Primary and Infant School, Reach Primary and Infant School, Burnham Wood Primary School, Mount Pleasant Primary School. So for the schools that are here, please make your way to our far right. Fair Prospect Primary School. So for Region 2, we're going to ask Dr. Troupe to come and make the presentations. Dr. Richard Troupe. Miss Kennedy. She needs to leave. Oh. Miss Kennedy.
What's her name? Miss Kennedy.
Miss Kennedy. So Miss Kennedy will be making the presentations for Region 2. So first up, we have St. Margaret's Bay Primary School. Reach Primary School, Primary and Infant School.
Well, this is St. Margaret's School.
Mount Pleasant Primary School. Burnham Wood Primary School. We're going to ask Hope Bay Primary, Mount Hermon Primary, Guys Hill High School, Ramble Primary, Jackson Primary. Please make your way to the far right.
Me do St. Thomas after that. The line, what's the line? Then we'll have Morant Bay Primary, followed by Dawkinsfield Primary, followed by Dalvey Primary School. Sure which school them St. Thomas. They will deal with it one day. Then we organize it. We're doing the absentia. And we would like to recognize the schools in absentia, and they are
Windsor Primary and Infant, Fair Prospect Primary School, Windsor Forest Primary School, Sherwood Forest Primary School, the St. Mary High School, Mount Angus Primary and Junior High, Hillside Primary, Castleton Primary School, the Taki High School, and the Somerset All-Age School. Can we all put our hands together and give them a round of applause? Come on, man, we can do better than that. Keep the hands going.
And we'll now invite our Master of Ceremony to come back to
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams and Mrs. Dixon. We are moving over into Region 3, and we're going to be asking that the schools in Region 3, please start making yourselves ready. We're going to save the applause at the very end of all the schools in the region. So we will not be applauding at the call of each school. All right, we'll save the applause at the end. At this time, I am inviting for the announcements in Region 3, Mrs. Nina Dixon and Mrs. Stacy Winter Thomas.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please allow us to invite the schools from the region of Trailblazers, Region 3. So 19 schools were trained, 9 in St. Anne, and 10 in Trelawney, and they are Ocho Rios Primary School, Servite Primary School, Stairtown Primary School, Golden Grove Primary School,
Wait a Bit All Age, Albertown High School,
and the schools in absentia: Charlton Primary, Runaway Bay Primary, Discovery Bay Primary, St. Hilda's Diocesan High School,
Refuge Primary School, Salt Marsh Primary School, Duncan's All Age, Granville Primary, Hague Infant and Primary, William Knibb High School, Holland High School, Hastings Primary and Infant School.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for the schools in the region of Trailblazers, Region 3.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dixon and Thomas. We're going to now invite our announcers for Region 4. We have Mr. Shauna Smith, Restorative Justice Parish Officer at the Hanover Justice Center, and Miss Tajna Rowe.
While the School of Region 4 get ready, St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover, we invite Miss Jamie and Shavans to come to do that presentation.
For Region 4, there were a total of 29 schools who successfully completed the Restorative Practices 2-day workshop. It is our esteemed pleasure to now announce the names of those schools to you.
Because we are the best from the West, I'll be starting off with Barrettstown Primary School, Anchovy High, Green Pond Primary, and St. James High. Those are the schools that are present. In Central, we do have Johns Hall Primary, Flankhurst Primary School, Barracks Road Primary, Cornwall College, and St. James High. John Zaw, get ready as well.
In the parish of Westmoreland, from the region of innovators, we have Mount Airy Primary, Petersfield Primary, Mount Herman Primary, Moreland Hill Primary, Kew Park Primary. And schools that were not able to make it this afternoon, we have Paul Island Primary and Sir Clifford Campbell Primary.
From the beautiful parish of Hanover, we have the Merlin Otti High School. Those who were unable to make it, that was trained Cave Valley Primary, Churchill Primary School, Riverside Primary School, Kendall Primary School, Green Island High School, Middlesex Corner Primary School, Pondside Primary School, Sandy Bay Primary School, Pell River Primary School. And Sandy Bay Primary is present. And that is it for the Region of Excellence.
Innovators, yes. Give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Smith and Rowe. At this time, we're going to be moving over to Region 5, and we invite Miss Angela Davidson to come and assist us with the announcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. For Region 5, the region of champions, there were 16 schools who successfully completed the Restorative Practices 2-day workshop, and it is our esteemed pleasure to now announce the names of those schools. I'm going to call all the schools, and then the ones who are present will come up to accept. Ville Road Primary School, Frankfield Primary School, Prattville Primary School, Harmons Primary School, Craighead Primary School, Belfield Primary School, Mayday High School, Christiana High School, and from St. Elizabeth, the Basket Parish of the island. Burnt Savannah Primary, Santa Cruz Primary, Balaclava Primary, Black River Primary, Lacovia Primary, Aberdeen High, B.B. Koch High School, Newell High School. Now, let me call the names of the schools who are present. I'd like to invite Frankfield Primary School to line up at the side. Prattville Primary School. And Mayday High School. And these are from Manchester. The schools for St. Elizabeth, Balaclava Primary, Black River Primary, Newell High School. In the meantime, I'd like to ask schools from Region 6 to please take your place over there, to the right of the stage. It's gone. Ask the last school. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite you to give a round of applause to the region of champion, Region 5.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sylvia Johnson-Taylor, Safety and Security Coordinator, Ministry of Education, Region 6, the region that inspires and nurtures greatness. And with me,
Colette Kerr-Patterson, Parish Restorative Justice Officer for the Parish of Westmoreland.
Region 6.
And for Region 6, ladies and gentlemen, there were a total of 21 schools who successfully completed the Restorative Practices 2-day workshop, and it is therefore our esteemed privilege to present these schools to you. Region 6, the schools are Brayton Primary School,
Makuk, St. Mary's College,
Makuk Primary School,
Ascot High School,
Waterford Primary,
Crescent Primary,
Old Harbour Bay Primary,
Nagohead Primary,
Angels Primary,
Charlemont High School,
Crystal House, Jamaica,
Ewaton High School,
Glengough High School,
Greater Portmore High School,
Jonathan Grant High School,
McGraw High School,
St. Catherine High School,
Old Harbour High School,
Jose Marti High School,
Bridgeport Primary School,
the Cedar Grove Academy,
Ewaton Primary.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for the 21 schools who have successfully completed.
In Region 6, the region that nurtures and inspires greatness.
As we go forward, we're going to be asking the schools from Region 7 to get yourselves ready and form a queue along the line. Thank you.
We invite the announcer for Region 7 to the podium.
Pleasant afternoon, everyone. Leon Malcolm is the name, St. Mary Parish Restorative Justice Officer. So today I have the honor of speaking on the region of stars, Region 7. So the schools in Region 7, I'll ask that you make your way to the line, to my immediate right, as I call you now. Green Park Primary School, Frankfield Primary, Freetown Primary, and Treadlight Primary. These schools were trained in this cohort of restorative practices training. And also we have the Thompson Town High. And also from Region 3, let us recognize Priory Primary, who is present. And at this time, I'll invite all other schools who are present who have not heard that institution being called, please make your way to my immediate right so you may collect your certificate. Thank you. I'll get the names afterwards and make the necessaries. We also have the Ebony Grove High and the YMCA from Region 1, Almond Town Primary, from Region 1, and also the Knox College. We also have Ebony Grove. All right, thank you, folks. And before I go, please give them a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, our participating schools, let us give them a final round of applause. So at this time, we are pulling down the curtains for today's event. And so I am now going to be inviting for the vote of thanks, Mrs. Jada Ann Williams-Miller, Restorative Justice Field Officer of the Bunkers Hill Restorative Justice Center.
The Honorable Delroy Chuck, our Permanent Secretary, our Principal Director, the Director of the Restorative Justice Branch, representatives from the Ministry of Education and Youth, our esteemed guests, and my hardworking colleagues, good afternoon. It is with immense gratitude and joy that I stand before you to move the vote of thanks for the Restorative Practices Certification Ceremony 2024 held here at the Campion College. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend a heartfelt appreciation to each and every one of you for the role that you have played in making this day a success. First and foremost, we would like to express our deepest appreciation to Ms. Joanna Lee Robertson, our Master of Ceremony and the Director of the Restorative Justice Branch. Your impeccable organization and seamless execution have undoubtedly contributed to the success of this ceremony, and we are immensely grateful for your dedication, unwavering support, and guidance. We would also like to extend our gratitude to Mr. Raymond Anderson, who led us in prayer, grounding us in a sense of spirituality and unity as we seek to move forward. Special thanks must be extended to Mr. Lavier Henry and the entire faculty and staff from Campion College for welcoming and graciously hosting us in this beautiful venue today. Your facilities have provided the perfect backdrop for this momentous occasion, and we are grateful for your hospitality. I would also like to acknowledge Ms. Jamie Ann Shevans, the Principal Director of the Social Justice Division, for her warm welcome. Your leadership has been crucial in advancing the cause of restorative practices in our society, and for that we applaud you. Our heartfelt thanks goes out to Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane, our Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Justice, for providing us with an overview of the restorative practices training taking place within our schools. Your dedication to promoting justice and equality in our educational system is commendable, and you are an inspiration to us all. We are also privileged to have had Mr. Damian Garvey and Mrs. James Christian share their testimonials. Your experiences and stories have shown us the transformative power of restorative practices in our educational institutions. We are truly honored to have had Mrs. Davidson sharing in this special ceremony and bringing greetings on behalf of the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Education and Youth. We are truly thankful for your partnership, which have been crucial in the implementation of restorative practices in our educational institutions. Also, to the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, we want to especially thank you for your leadership, passion, unwavering support, and commitment to restorative justice, which have been crucial in fostering a more just and cohesive society. A special mention goes out to the talented Campion College Dance Society for their mesmerizing performance. Your artistry reminds us of the importance of expression and creativity in our journey towards healing and reconciliation. You have certainly added a touch of grace and beauty to our celebration today. A heartfelt thank you to Mr. Sherrod Somerville for the able way he introduced our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Richard Troupe. Mr. Troupe, your words of wisdom and expertise were the icing on the cake, and you have undoubtedly left an indelible mark on all of us. Your humorous delivery was captivating, and your deep insights into the importance of restorative practices in creating safe and inclusive learning environments have truly inspired us to forge ahead and let peace run things. Last but by no means least, we celebrate the dedication and hard work of all the individuals and institutions who have completed the restorative practices training. Your commitment to fostering empathy, understanding, and healing within our communities is truly commendable, and we are delighted to recognize and honor your achievements. Your dedication to the restorative practices has made this ceremony possible, and we appreciate your willingness to participate in de-escalating crime and violence in our society. In closing, I am filled with a sense of hope and optimism for the future of restorative justice. The work we do is challenging at times, but it is also incredibly rewarding. Together we can create a more just and peaceful world for all. Thank you, everyone, for making today possible, and may we continue our collective efforts to promote restorative justice in every aspect of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Miller. So before I provide the closing remarks, I'm inviting Mr. Richard Troupe, our keynote speaker, to do a final presentation. I'm being guided that Charlemont High School is here, and they did not receive their award, their certificate. So I'm inviting the representatives from that school to please come forward. And we are so sorry about that oversight. Give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. We are officially at the close of today's program. We had hoped that we would not go beyond 1:30, and I'm so happy. If you check your times, it is not yet 1 p.m. So what this means is that you get a chance, for those persons who are traveling all the way to Westmoreland and other parts of the island, you get a chance to travel and to reach home before the day closes or before there's no longer daylight. Today has been an enriching day. We have witnessed hundreds of schools, over 130 schools present today to receive certificates We have witnessed and we have heard the enthusiasm, the passion of both the Ministry of Justice as well as the Ministry of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed to return to our schools, we hope that moving forward, you will continue to support the training in schools so that our students, our parents, and our school administrators can be equipped with the required skill set to resolve conflicts and disputes. With that said, I'm also going to invite you at the official close. You will proceed to the back where we have your lunches prepared for you to take, and then you can head out. Thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.